the reports come from? Did you get an initial?
One Pod Vader.
That's football.
Every angle of the NFL covered.
All that kind of stuff, I get it.
This,
no question about it,
is Next Fan Up.
We're going to unleash hell here in December.
Hello and welcome to SuperFan Battle Friday. We couldn't let this week go without a SuperFan battle, as we have quite possibly the biggest game of the season, at least up to this particular date. It is the Battle of Undefeateds. It is the 5-0 Pittsburgh Steelers, the 5-0 Tennessee Titans, and boy, this is going to be a slugfest. Now, this game has been lumped in with all the other 1 p.m. junk, which is terrible. This game should have been moved to a primetime slot, or at the very least, since it's a CBS doubleheader week, the 4 o'clock slot. But no, it's a 1 o'clock game, and that's just terrible. We talk a lot about that on the Thursday preview podcast. Be sure to check it out if this is the first time you've ever listened to a Next Fan Up podcast. But on this particular episode, we have the super fans for both teams. We have Jordan, our Titans superfan, and we couldn't get Greg, our regular Steelers superfan, to do this, but it just so happens that Jordan is dating a Steelers fan. Don't ask me how that works out, but apparently it does. And here's the happy couple.
All right, welcome in to a big Week 7 Superfan battle between the Titans and the Steelers. It is the last two undefeated teams remaining in the AFC. I'm Jordan, your Titans Superfan, and today we were missing the regular Steelers fan, but it just turns out that I am dating someone who is a Steelers fan, so we welcome in my lovely girlfriend, Cecilia. Cecilia, what do you make of the Steelers' 5-0 start to the season? How are they doing it?
Oh, I mean, they're doing it because they have the best defense in the league. They've got a fantastic offense. We have a young receiving core that's just catching these balls left and right. You also have James Conner, who is having a great season so far as our running back. So the Steelers are just good on both sides of the ball. That's why we're 5-0 right now.
It is. And so for the Titans, we've been having some crazy games, but what I've been most impressed by is that every week we've had multiple key pieces that are out for injury, and somehow Mike Vrabel has done such a great coaching job that we've been able to overcome that. But I am a little worried because I think the Steelers are probably the most well-rounded team we've played so far, maybe the most well-rounded team in the league, so it's going to be harder to overcome some injuries that we're missing. So I do want to get into last week. There were two big injuries in this game. So Taylor Lewan, the Titans left tackle, tore his ACL. He's out for the season. The Steelers linebacker, Devin Bush, he's also out for the season. Those are two huge injuries. So let's talk about first when the Steelers have the ball. And the Titans, Adoree Jackson did practice this week for the first time all season, but I don't think he's going to be playing. I think the rest of our defense will be healthy, but our defense has kind of struggled so far this season. They've been great in the clutch, but they have definitely been vulnerable to, I'd say, both the run and the pass. We've been winning more in shootouts. But Cecilia, how do you think the Steelers are going to be attacking on Sunday?
I definitely think we're going to have the air attack with Ben throwing to our wide receivers. You've got Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, James Washington, and the return of Deontay Johnson. Now, even though Juju has had a bit of a regression this season, we're seeing the emergence of rookie Chase Claypool, who, again, he is starting to gain momentum, and he's having better game after better game as the season goes on. And it looks like Ben is starting to throw to him more, and I'm wondering if he's going to start to kind of emerge as the go-to guy on the Steelers offense. So I think they're definitely going to use that receiving core. I also think that Ben is going to continue to rely on James Conner in the running game to just push that ball through the Titans defense and just run it down the field.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting now with Deontay Johnson back, who's been out the last couple of weeks, when we had a 4-touchdown game out of Chase Claypool 2 weeks ago and yet another big game last week. And between them two and Juju, I'm worried because you guys are really the one team that can challenge the injured secondary we've had. We haven't really played a team yet that can take advantage of that. So I do think the Steelers are going to be able to score some points here. Let's talk about the other side of the ball. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to?
No, I was just going to say, I mean, it's not going to be a runaway game for our offense. You guys still have Jadeveon Clowney, Rashaan Evans, and Kevin Byard within your defense for us to watch out for with respect to attacking both the run and the passing game. So we're still going to have a challenge from your defense. So it's just a matter of, what happens on Sunday and how we can adapt to that.
Right. So and of course, this game was originally scheduled for week 4 and got delayed due to the coronavirus outbreak at the Titans facility. I know some of the Steelers, including Ben Roethlisberger, Ben was not too pleased about having to practice during his bye week and basically skipping a bye week. So we'll see if there's any hostility from these teams. They used to be the AFC Central Division rivals back in the day. But the Titans side of the ball now, obviously, it's all about Derrick Henry, who went insane last week. But the Steelers probably have the best run defense in the NFL. And Ryan Tannehill, whose stats are just incredible. And, I've been hearing a lot on this podcast about some naysayers with Ryan Tannehill, who I'll go, what if Derrick Henry gets contained? Or what if he just does everything off the play action? Well, last week, Ryan Tannehill, when he was not on the play action, he was 22 of 25, 222 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's throwing without the play action. So Tannehill's been incredible. You saw the 2-minute drill at the end of regulation last week to send it to overtime. Derrick Henry's not on the field for most of that. That's Jeremy McNichols. So as good as Derrick Henry has been, Ryan Tannehill has been just outstanding. Everybody assured me this season that there would be a huge regression, that he'd go back to just being an average quarterback, and, his success last year wasn't sustainable. But look at him now. Every single receiver of his has missed time. A.J. Brown missed 2.5 weeks. Corey Davis, Adam Humphries both have missed games. And he just keeps plugging along. You wouldn't even notice. One other issue is that Jonnu Smith, who's been fantastic, he's questionable for this game. I don't know if he's going to play. But I do think with the Steelers' run defense, it is going to be on Ryan Tannehill to attack the Steelers' passing game. I think has been, if I had to pick a weakness of the defense, I'd probably say their passing game, just because their run defense has been so good. But what are you expecting out of the Steelers' defense? How are you going to stop this Titans offense that is on fire?
Well, Jordan, like you said, we have arguably the best front 7 in the league. But with Devin Bush being injured this week, I am a little concerned that there might be a bit lacking in our run defense. But again, we still have very strong players on the defensive side of the ball. When you're looking for our linebackers, the key is to shut down the run game this week. We have to stop Derrick Henry. Otherwise, he's gonna just run right over us. Let's not forget the stiff arm heard around the world 2 weeks ago when he stiff armed Josh Norman. But yeah, like I said, the key is going to be to shut down Derrick Henry's run game, to put pressure on Ryan Tannehill's blindside because Taylor Lewan is out, so he's not there to block, and to force Ryan Tannehill to throw the ball. I think we have a fantastic secondary. We've got Minka Fitzpatrick, a wonderful free safety, Roll Tide, who got a pick 6 last week. And so, like I said, we're going to need to shut down the run game. We're going to need to force Ryan Tannehill to throw the ball, and we're going to have to just expose that weakness in their offensive line with Taylor Lewan being out.
Yeah, and I think this is definitely not the team we want to go against for, Lewan's first game to be out. You have probably the best defensive line that you're going to get a lot of pressure. And I will say Lewan has missed parts of games this year. He missed parts of the Vikings game. He missed most of last game. And our backup, Ty Sambriello, has actually filled in okay. He's been fine. He hasn't had a test like this, but, there's really no replacing a player like Taylor Lewan. Overall, for this game, it's interesting because the Titans and Steelers, not a lot of people would have thought we would be the last undefeated teams in the AFC. Everyone thought this was all about the Chiefs, the Ravens. The Bills came on strong. Nobody was really looking at the Titans and Steelers. But here we are. The winner is going to be the last undefeated team. They'll be in position to maybe make a run and get a bye. That'd be huge.
That'd be fantastic. I would love for the Steelers to do that.
And the Steelers in the very competitive AFC North with the Ravens 1 game behind them, so you have really no ground to spare here.
We can't slip up.
So let me ask you this. If you had to pick an X factor for this matchup on either side of the ball, who do you think really needs to step up for the Steelers?
I really think Chase Claypool is going to be our X factor going forward because, like I said, he's having a great rookie season so far. He's proven himself to be a capable and competent wide receiver and an asset to the Steelers offense. He's just going to need to keep doing what he's been doing, and we've got to protect him. Yeah, as the season goes forward.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how we're going to stop all of your receivers because you have between Juju, Claypool, and Deontay Johnson back, and James Washington. I mean,
we have a young and a deep receiving core.
You do, and if we don't have a Dory Jackson back, which I don't think we will, we just have not had the deepest secondary, and that's why our defense is so different than I think it will ultimately be once we have everyone back. If I had to pick an X factor for the Titans, I think there's a couple. I already mentioned someone who probably no one has heard of in Ty Sambrilo, but he's going to be our left tackle who's going to be in charge of trying to keep Tannehill upright and trying to get the run game going. I'm also going to mention, just in case Jonnu is out, I'm going to mention Anthony Ferkser, Big Ferk out of Harvard, who had 8 catches for 113 yards and a touchdown last week after Jonnu went out. He had some big catches in our playoff run last year, and I think with him and also Corey Davis is going to make his return. He's been out the last couple of weeks, so at least we have most of our parts back. You know, it's really been next man up this whole season with the Titans. But I think these backups for us, you know, Mike Vrabel has shown he can get it out of anybody who's playing. It's time to make predictions. What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, man. Well, I'm just going to go big here. I say that the Steelers beat the Titans by 14 points, and I'm just going to say it's 34-20.
34-20.
34-20.
Okay, 14 points. That's a lot.
14 points. I believe in my Steelers. I've got my terrible towel and my light up Steelers scarf ready. We're here to play, and we're here to win. What do you think?
I honestly, I'm concerned if we play this game in week 4, I was prepared to come in here and pick the Steelers, to be honest, which people probably wouldn't expect out of me because we had a lot more injuries back then. I think now we have just an update on the Titans COVID list. Every single person is off of the COVID IR list. So all those people are back. Obviously, we're missing Taylor Lewan, might be missing Adoree Jackson, but everybody's back. As I mentioned, I think the Steelers have been underrated since the start of the season. I think they're the most well-rounded team. You know, they can run, they can pass, they have a great defense at all levels. So I am concerned for this game, but this game is at home, and I think, you know, as great of a job Mike Tomlin has done, I think Mike Vrabel should be in the discussion for Coach of the Year, especially after the stunt he pulled last week. In case anybody missed it, he intentionally sent out a 12th man on the field to draw an offsides penalty to give the Bills a first down, to give the Texans a first down instead of a 2nd and 1, which ultimately preserved 40 seconds of clock. And the Titans, of course, scored with 4 seconds left. They needed every second they could get. So Mike Vrabel's done a masterful job. And I'm going to trust, I think it's going to be close. All of the Titans games this year, except for the Bills game, have come down to the last second pretty much. So I'm going to say the Titans win a high-scoring game. I'm going to say it's like 28-27. I think it's going to be a battle. They really have me living on the edge this year. Every game has been crazy. So that's it. Sunday, may the best AFC team win.
Good luck.
All right, good luck.
Thank you to Jordan. Thank you to Cecilia. Quite honestly, we could do without Jordan. We could use more Cecilia in this podcast. And frankly, I hope she comes back and does more Superfan battles and goes up against some of our other jamokes. But the one thing that they were missing there was a wager. How can the dating couple watch this game and not have something on the line for this? I mean, perhaps a foot massage? I have an anti-foot fetish. It makes me sick to even think about touching feet at all, and it drives my wife. My wife would love for nothing more than for me to give her a foot massage. It's never going to happen. I once made a wager with her that I had to give her a foot massage. I kept putting it off. Finally, we had a wager where I double or nothing, and I was right, and I didn't have. It was right up there, one of the happiest days of my life, right after my wedding and the birth of my children. I was so happy I got out of that foot massage. But in any case, needs to be something like that. we discussed after our Thursday podcast, the Superfans and I, maybe the loser has to prepare one of Doc's recipes for the winner. Now, the only problem with that is that the winner could end up being a loser too, because the loser may not be a very good cook. Although Doc's recipes are very easy to follow and the food is quite delicious. So I do think that something like that should be on the line. And of course, we should have video of this meal occurring. So for sure, I want this to go down. Jordan, Cecilia, I hope to see this happen. nextfanup@gmail.com to email us at NFU Podcast on Twitter, Facebook.com/NFU Podcast for all of our episodes, plus Doc's recipes. There's 7 of them to choose from. So, you could make a wager with your friend too, or your significant other, and make this happen. I will tell you right now, I had the pork. Oh God, it was so good. It was really delicious. In any case, recipes, Facebook.com/NFU Podcast. We will have more of our lovely podcast next week with not a Week 7 recap or the NFL Sound Off podcast. We'll have a Thursday night preview show, and of course, we will preview all the games from Week 8. So until then, here's Kofi Annan. There you have it.
Dear friends and colleagues, saying goodbye is never easy. I believe we can all feel proud of what we have done together, and through it all, you have maintained your professionalism and commitment and remained true to the spirit of the Charter. That principle.
We go out, we hit people in the mouth.